You wake up, you open your laptop, and you tell yourself that today is the day you finally build your system. You have the ambition, you're learning the skills, but by 2 p.m., your focus is hijacked. You're scrolling, you're reacting, and you're wasting the exact energy you promised to invest in your future. You're not lazy. You're trapped. You are trapped in a subtle, invisible cycle of psychological comfort that feels like progress, but it's actually keeping you completely stagnant. You don't need more motivation. You need to realize that your own mind is actively negotiating you out of your freedom. Friedrich Nietzsche warned that the ultimate tragedy isn't failing. It's becoming part of the herd, comfortably average, quietly blending in and trading your potential for safe, instant validation. If you want to break out of the 99% and step into the 1%, you have to diagnose the 7 psychological traps your brain is using to keep you average. Trap 1. The applause deficit, proclaiming before producing. The 99% leak their plans to their friends, family, or social media the second they get an idea. They want the quick hit of approval. When you tell people you're starting new business, a new challenge, or a new habit, your brain releases dopamine as if you've already achieved it. Nietzsche called this the vanity of the herd, seeking public applause for a performance you haven't even given. The 1% move like ghosts. They hide their plans like a secure password. They understand that every time you speak about your goals, you drain the exact execution energy required to build them. Stop looking for permission. Build in total silence and let your assets speak for you. Trap 2. Resentment as a shield, the envy mechanism. When the 99% see someone in the 1% winning, building systems, or achieving financial freedom, their immediate instinct is to criticize. They say it's luck, it's a scam, or they had a head start. Nietzsche identified this as raisonnement, a psychological defense mechanism where the average person tears down excellence to make their own mediocrity feel acceptable. But critique is just unspoken envy. When you attack someone else's success, your brain internalizes that success is evil, ensuring you will never achieve it. The 1% don't critique, they dissect. If someone is winning, don't hate them. Study their leverage. Trap 3. The will to comfort, trading leverage for safety. 99% of people are conditioned to seek comfort and avoid friction. They want the safe job, the predictable routine, the instant gratification of a paycheck that trades hours for dollars. Nietzsche called this the green pasture happiness of the herd, the desire for a life without danger, suffering, or risk. But wealth requires volatility. It requires building scalable systems that don't depend on your daily physical presence. The 1% actively run toward friction. They know that short-term discomfort is the tax you pay for long-term leverage. If your routine doesn't scare you a little bit, it's keeping you average. Trap 4. The outsourced discipline trap, waiting for motivation. You tell yourself you'll work when you feel like it. You wait for a burst of inspiration, a perfect morning, or a wave of motivation to hit you before you start editing, scripting, or coding. This is a fatal psychological error. The 99% rely on how they feel to dictate what they do. The 1% rely on systems. Nietzsche famously argued that greatness is built through long obedience in the same direction. High performers don't have superior willpower. They have superior environmental design. They make discipline mechanical. If your phone is on your desk, you will pick it up. Stop testing your willpower. Change your setup. Trap 5. The consumer identity, the illusion of progress. 99% of people confuse consuming information with producing value. You watch 3 hours of self-improvement videos, buy an ebook, or listen to a podcast, and your brain tricks you into thinking you've worked. It's a drug. You're acting as a consumer in a producer's coat. Nietzsche warned against becoming an objective mirror, someone who merely reflects other people's ideas but never creates anything of their own. The 1% enforce a strict consumption-to-production ratio. For every 30 minutes they spend taking in information, they spend 2 hours building, testing, and launching assets. Stop watching the game. Build a system. Trap 6. The virtue signal, the superiority mask. Look around social media. Everyone is performing. Everyone is trying to look perfect, happy, or successful to an audience of strangers. The 99% spend their limited energy managing their appearance, rather than managing their reality. Nietzsche called this excessive virtue a mask for hidden vanity. The louder you signal your status, your intelligence, or your plans, the emptier your actual execution core usually is. Real confidence doesn't need to post about it. The 1% are totally detached from public perception. They don't care if they look average to the world, as long as their banking systems and assets are leaked. Trap 7. The reactive loop, the slave morality. The final, most dangerous trap keeping you in the 99% is being entirely reactive. You wake up and immediately check your phone. You let notifications, emails, and other people's emergencies write your schedule for the day. You're playing defense in your own life. Nietzsche defined this as slave morality, a state of being where your actions are purely a reaction to the external world. The 1% operate on master morality. They dictate their mornings. They protect the first hour of the day in absolute isolation, attacking their hardest, highest leverage task before the world has a chance to negotiate with them. Take a completely honest look at your last 24 hours. How many of these 7 traps did your mind slide into? It's not because you aren't capable. It's because you've been trained to repeat the habits of the herd. But once you see the mask crack, you can't unsee it. The 99% will click off this video, close this tab, and go right back to consuming. They will stay predictable, and they will stay average. But if you are done playing defense, if you are ready to move like an economic ghost and build your ticket to freedom in total silence, lock in your identity right now. Drop a comment below and type, "I am a producer." Let the rest of the herd look for applause. We're building systems. Welcome to the 1% circle, where you learn how to play better in the game of life. Subscribe now.